Hey guys, my name is Megan Kerstetter and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be working on a painting from memory with very little reference. For the last few months I've been working on honing my painting skills and trying to come up with a signature painting style. Slowly I've been seeing progress and I think this is one of my most successful paintings yet. Now, before anyone comes at me about not using references, I don't recommend doing this all the time, specifically if you are a beginning artist, but I do think it's fun to indulge in occasionally as a different way of measuring your skills. And personally, I like the idea of being able to create something solely from my mind using the library of experiences and abilities I've gathered over the years. The fact is, a lot of the time, artists don't always find the perfect references to work from, so that leaves us often cobbling resources from photos or 3D models and then filling in the gaps with what knowledge we have. Another thing to be thinking about is how stylized you plan on making a piece. Sometimes I have to remind myself that I'm not painting realism and that what I'm making doesn't need to be perfect, just believable within its own context. That's what I've really been trying to do with the painting style I've been pursuing. I don't want to make something real in the sense it actually exists, but that it could exist in its own world. Kind of like how when we watch animation, we know it's not real, a lot of it isn't meant to look that way, but it still feels lifelike in a way that we can relate to it. Maybe this all sounds a little long-winded, but that's what I really want to go for with my work right now. Of course, I'll probably jump back into doing realism at some point when I'm interested in it again. Mostly I'm going for a look I can use commercially that takes less resources and doesn't burn me out as fast. I think I'm getting closer and hopefully I'll be there soon. I want to offer painting commissions at some point, so that's why I really want to nail a style I like. And if you follow me on any social media platform, you guys know I love messing with different styles. I don't think I'll ever stop trying new ways of creating art or trying to emulate the work of artists I admire in some way. But I also want something I offer that is consistent and personal for any future clients that come my way. Once again, I think I'm getting closer, but I don't feel I'm quite there yet. I probably need to look at more paintings and try a few other things out. That being said, I'm going to be making this painting available as a download in my shop. Nothing fancy, you'll be able to make a small print from home or from a print shop. I don't even mind if you put it on a mug or a shirt, to be honest, as long as you're not mass producing it. The download will be around 5 inches by 6.3 inches. I've made it so it will fit widthwise on 5 inch by 7 inch photo paper with a slight border. It'll need to be cut down to get an even border all around, but if you buy it for a friend as a gift, you could use the space at the bottom to write a little note, which could be cool. I'm not sure if I should keep the borders on my art downloads, but I thought they might be nice to have just as an extra insurance parts of the picture won't be missing during the printing process. If anyone has any options on this, let me know what you think. Should I keep putting borders on my downloads, or would you rather have them go right to the edge? Back to the painting in its current state. I don't think I really had a plan going into this at first. A lot of the time when I'm coming up with the start of a picture, I like to get a basic pose down and then start working on the face. It might feel a little premature to some people, but it helps to keep my attention if I get down a character's facial features first. Basically, if the face looks good, then I'm more inclined to make the rest of the image match up to that level of quality. It also gives me a strong idea of how far I'm going to push the painting in the long run. I use a mannequin drawing technique particularly when I'm working from memory. I want to keep a very simple pose with this one, while also challenging myself to turn the torso. Even with reference, I always have a hard time doing that. But I want my anatomy abilities to improve, and that's not going to happen if I don't keep trying. I needed to remind myself once again that this is not realism, and as long as it looks believable, it is a success. You'll notice I didn't start with a white canvas and instead put a warm brown in the background. I wanted to make the overall color scheme warm with browns and oranges so that when I started to bring in the green and blue greens, it would really pop. For that same reason, I also made the character's eyes lean a lot more towards green than the rest of the image and really bumped up the saturation in them. I love when my characters have unnatural eye colors. They make me think of gemstones. Anyway, I think it helps to really sell the focal point because it's the most unique color in the piece and it's framed by the warm color of her skin and hair. Since I ended up deciding to make her a kitsune and the background was now this glowing blue-green, I started to think of the environment she should be in. I was getting the sense that I wanted a night scene. I put vague shapes in the background to indicate foliage and eventually more defined long weeds and grass in the foreground. The closer things are to our view, the more in focus they become, but not as much as the character herself. A lot of adjusting to the character went on even after I started messing around with the background. Sometimes I need to take a break from one part of a painting to refresh my mind before going back to it. This is where working digitally is really nice, since I don't have to worry about messing my character up while painting behind her. I think this has bit me in the butt in the past, but there are times that if I don't move around in my painting, nothing really gets done, and I'm banging my head against the spot I can't get right. I guess it just depends on the situation. Overall, I just have to be stubborn until I get the whole piece done. I think it's all about finding a balance. If you stay in one spot but don't get anywhere, you're going to be frustrated and everything will be slow going. But if you move around too much, you risk not focusing enough on certain areas, potentially getting sloppy. It depends on the artist and how you work, of course. Then there is the repainting. There are darn few times I can think of that my work, painting or otherwise, doesn't get reworked multiple times. This is because as I go, I try to think of things I can improve on due to new context I put into the piece. Like, if you add another source of light, you're going to need to match that up with your character. There are also times when I overwork an area and need to just paint over it completely to get a fresh look. I redid the wrinkles in her shirt a couple of times because I wasn't satisfied with them. And you'll remember I went through a few different renditions of the face. If I had kept the expression from the beginning, this would have been a very different image. It might sound crazy, but I think a lot of my paintings are actually more like 10 paintings I've reworked until I get the final product. So if you ever feel frustrated that you didn't get it right on the first or even the second try, know you're not alone and that it's very normal. Paintings often go through an ugly stage before they get better. If experience has taught me anything, you can save about any painting. You just might have to go over it a few times. Or I just get too stubborn to quit because once I've put in over 5 hours on a piece, I want at least something to come out of it. Though I'm not going to lie, I have an entire folder named Yikes that has unfinished paintings I don't wish to save and can't force myself to work on. In the end, I would probably change them to something completely different, and I think it's good to see not everything you do needs to be a masterpiece or even a success. They're just a reminder that even though they didn't turn out, I did gain experience from them and can use them to further my abilities as I go. Dang, now I'm feeling positive. I might need to watch this video when my imposter syndrome strikes bad again. Go forth, paint, mess up, succeed! I've heard some professionals say they got so good at what they do because they learned 1,000 ways not to do it, which is a little tedious to think about, but in a way also gives me hope. So this is about the point in the picture where I'm starting to feel pretty good about the overall layout, but there's still something missing, a little spice, if you will. And then I remember, what if there was foxfire? The blue floating lights will help to put more contrast on the image and make it interesting. Since I added them, I know I need to put new light sources on the character. Rather than try to go in on the same layer with my paintbrush, I'll make a new overlay or multiply layer to make soft transitions without removing my original strokes. Personally, I would like to move away from this technique more since I want to be able to put down the right values early on in a picture, but once you start adding details like new light sources and don't want to completely repaint something, this is a great way to get new lighting down quickly. I've also discovered that the add glow effect is helpful when trying to make a light source like the foxfire pop. Keep the opacity low on your brush when using it. It's great when it comes to keeping your darks while strengthening the lighter values. It's really a benefit to working digitally, and I can't think of any way you could do it traditionally without carefully glazing over your lights or just altogether repainting things. I'm still trying to master using actual acrylic paints as well, and I think doing both traditional and digital painting helps me to improve in both mediums. There are some things I just don't understand how to do using traditional paint, but since I've worked digitally for so long, I know how I can pull it off in an art program, which helps me reevaluate how I can do it traditionally. Sometimes I think about doing a little experiment where I paint something digitally and then try to paint it again as close as possible traditionally, or vice versa. I think it would be a good exercise, and I recommend it to anyone who is looking to improve their skill. Basically, I like using what I already know to understand what I'm trying to learn. Speaking of learning, I've currently opened my services to teach one-on-one art classes. Well, as of now, they are advertised more as a mentorship where we meet and work on whatever you want to improve on. If you want to meet up and learn something specific, we can turn it into a class. Or if you just need someone to bounce ideas off of or give you a critique, I can do that as well. It's very flexible, and I'm offering them online for a minimum of $15 an hour to get started. I've been considering changing the rates for more serious classes, but I want to start off very simple and basic to begin with. So if you're interested in having an art session, send me an email at MeganKerstetterIllustration@gmail.com. And that's it for this piece. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm glad I was able to get it out to you, and I hope I can continue to do more. If you liked watching, please consider liking and subscribing. I can't promise you when another video will be out, but I hope you'll be there. I really do appreciate your support. I hope today's video has helped to motivate and inspire you. As always, you guys are the best, and I can't wait to see you later.